In the last 24 hours, the United States has reportedly carried out direct military action against Venezuela, including strikes near Caracas and operations in surrounding waters. These actions appear to have involved the removal or detention of President Nicolás Maduro. Although details remain limited and contested, the administration has framed the operation as necessary for U.S. national security and counter-narcotics enforcement. If confirmed, this would represent one of the most consequential unilateral U.S. military actions in the Western Hemisphere in decades. To understand why this matters, we need to take a brief step back. Venezuela is a resource-rich country with the largest proven oil reserves in the world, but it has been devastated over the past decade by economic collapse, mass emigration, and institutional breakdown. Nicolás Maduro came to power in 2013 as the successor to Hugo Chavez, initially through a contested election and later through increasingly authoritarian control. Under Maduro, democratic institutions were hollowed out, opposition leaders were jailed or sidelined, and elections lost international credibility. The result has been a humanitarian catastrophe, with millions of Venezuelans fleeing the country while Maduro maintained power through security forces, patronage, and support from foreign allies. In recent weeks, before the reported strikes on Venezuelan territory, the U.S. escalated actions in waters associated with Venezuela. These included targeting small vessels described by the administration as linked to drug trafficking and increasing pressure on oil-related maritime traffic. The administrator claimed these operations were aimed at criminal networks tied to the Maduro regime. Critics have pointed out that Venezuela is primarily a transit corridor for cocaine, not a major producer of fentanyl, and have questioned both the evidence and the legality of using military force rather than standard interdiction and arrest. These actions marked a shift from law enforcement to military escalation. Now, with direct action on Venezuelan soil and the apparent removal of Maduro, the situation has entered a new phase. The immediate questions are who controls Venezuela's government, how its military responds, and whether the United States intends a temporary intervention or something longer term. There are also unresolved issues about congressional authorization, international response, and control over Venezuela's oil resources. Much remains unclear, and the lack of transparency itself is significant. The deeper issue, however, is not Venezuela or Maduro alone. This moment matters because it signals a possible abandonment of the rules-based international order that emerged after World War II. After two catastrophic world wars and the advent of nuclear weapons, global powers, led by the United States, built a system meant to prevent wars of conquest and to require respect for national sovereignty. That system is imperfect, but it has helped prevent another world war for nearly 80 years. By striking a sovereign nation without clear provocation, international authorization, or congressional approval, the United States appears to be signaling that those rules no longer constrain it. That aligns with a worldview increasingly promoted by authoritarian powers, that the world should be divided into spheres of influence, where strong countries take what they want from weaker ones. Once that principle is accepted, aggression in places like Ukraine or threats against Taiwan become easier to justify, not harder. There's also a profound domestic consequence. The U.S. Constitution assigns the power to declare war to Congress precisely to prevent unilateral military action by a single leader. When a president bypasses Congress and acts alone, especially under political and legal pressure at home, it weakens constitutional guardrails and accelerates authoritarian drift. The issue is not whether Maduro was a bad actor. The issue is whether breaking international law and domestic constitutional norms to remove him destroys something far more important. That is why what happened in the last 24 hours is not just another foreign intervention. It is a test of whether power replaces law, globally and at home. And once that line is crossed, it is very difficult to redraw it.